You know what you're doing. Okay. All right, let's get started. 3, 2, 1. Ready? Okay. Oh. All right, and welcome back to Vanessa's podcast. So today I have a freelance fiction writer. Her name is Stacy Juba, and she has a few websites and online course for writers, and on a developmental editor, creator of online course on book editing, blueprinting, step-by-step plans to make your novel publishable. She's also the founder of Shortcuts for Writer, and her goal is to simplify editing process for authors so they can save money. So welcome. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So tell me what's so great about your online courses. And I know you've wrote so many books in different genres. You also have a children's picture book and some mystery books and fiction. You have all type of books. Tell me about your courses.
Yeah, I just always loved writing and reading books. So I think everything has just sort of been a natural progression. I started writing really young, and then I was a newspaper reporter. So basically, my whole career has been some form of writing. And then writing the books kind of led to editing, and then editing led to creating online courses about writing because I was seeing a lot of the same kinds of mistakes. And different clients, they were all making the same kinds of, had the same kind of problems. So I created the course to kind of be as like a stepping stone to hiring an editor so that they could cut down on like some rounds of editing and save some money and kind of empower themselves to develop their
skills.
So
they will not be so overwhelmed with the process and try to, like you say, cut down on the money, make it faster process for them to finally publish their book. So tell me, your very first book was at 18, and then you made a sequel at 44. Was this your very first book?
So Face Off was my very first book, and I wrote that in high school study hall. This was like back in it was published in 1992. So this was back like in the late 80s, early 90s when I was working on it. I was about 16 when I was writing it. And then I entered it in a contest for teenage writers. And the winner received a publishing contract with Avon Books. So it was published and it did well. It received like a positive reviews, and it got some fan mail from kids. But the sequel I wrote was rejected. Like during that time, there was a lot of turnover at the publishing company. Like it was all different editors, and so even though the first book did well, the sequel was rejected with the form letter, basically.
Oh wow!
There was all different editors. And then I tried sending it to different publishing companies, but they weren't interested in a sequel to a book that was published by another publishing house. So
I see.
Yeah. So it was just went in my drawer for a lot of years. And then eventually I sold other books. And I also started indie publishing, and I brought back Face Off. It was out of print, and I brought it back as an ebook, a paperback, and an Audible audiobook, and it was selling well. And I was getting a lot of moms and grandmothers were like emailing me and asking me if there was a sequel because their kids liked it. So that inspired me to take the sequel out of my drawer, but it was very overwhelming because I had written it when I was like 18, 19 years old. I had
you excited at that age. It's like when you really kind of discover your inner writer, in yourself, and you're like, oh, I got so many ideas, it just keeps coming in and you just can't stop. and everybody's like in that phase where you're just like, am I good, am I not good or not, like you need that approval from the external, masters, I guess. So the shortcuts for writer, like step by step to simplify. How would you simplify the step? So let's say you're just like a new beginner writers and you really want to get like simple steps.
So I think a lot of writers, beginner writers, they complete their manuscript and they try to revise it to the best of their ability, but they don't really know how to take it that far on their own. So then they jump into hiring an editor, which hiring an editor is very important. But the problem is hiring an editor is expensive, and you want to get the most value for your money. And a lot of writers don't realize that especially beginner writers, that it could take multiple rounds of editing, to developmental editing, to bring that story further and further along. And if each round costs like hundreds of dollars, that's very expensive. And then some authors will also need to hire a copy editor and a proofreader also. So the more that my advice is like the more that they can learn to do on their own, the better off they'll be, so that they can get that first draft a lot stronger before they hire an editor.
Yes.
So that way they're sending an editor their best work. So I created the class to I have different modules, like 10 modules. And it's on all the most common mistakes I see, like both the big ones relating to plot and structure, and then sort of the scene by scene ones, like not getting it tight enough, like the point of view, or telling rather than showing, pacing issues, that kind of thing. And then also like the smaller things like the line editing and the most common copy editing mistakes. So that's why I
Yeah,
created
and
it.
if you haven't took classes before, sometimes for people it's been like years since they left high school and they're like, oh, I don't know. It's just like I haven't really revised all these things. I don't know where to start. A lot of people don't start with creative writing in class, so they don't have that background. And when you do, it kind of makes it easier. But if you're just like a really good storyteller and you have all of this great stuff, to write down out that you really need that guidance. So that really helps to have an easy step process. Yeah,
Right.
definitely. I know so many writers who don't get that support. They can just leave their story on on the back burner and never get back to it for years. And so it's encouraging to just say it's okay. There's easy way you can do it. You can write that book when you really want that story out there. And I think it's so many people have so many different type of way of writing too.
Right.
So, what about your style of writing? Can you tell me what's your favorite style of writing?
I've gotten into writing like chick lit and humorous romance
Oh, okay.
the past few years. Like I've kind of, like you said, I've written a whole variety of genres, like mystery. I've done a couple of children's books, the young adult hockey books. But surprisingly, I found that writing the chick lit came very naturally to me, and that's something a genre that years ago I wouldn't have seen myself writing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as I got older, there's so much like negative news and everything, and just for escape, I was started getting more drawn to lighter books, more lighthearted,
Yeah.
humorous books that make me
Mhm.
laugh. Like I love Sophie Kinsella books; they just make me laugh out loud. So then I got an idea for my first chick lit novel, and just when I sat down to write it, it just really kind of poured out of me, and this. It was fun just writing in this kind of sassier,
Yeah,
humorous
it sounds like
voice.
it would be like more, you get more enthusiasm from doing it when you feel more like relaxed, and it makes you laugh in the process. You're like picturing how your reader is reading it at the same time you're writing it. Like, are they laughing with me right now? Like giving them some emotion. Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes I write like a scene, and I just start laughing, like I can't believe I wrote that. I wonder what readers are gonna think when they read this.
Huh? Yeah, like sometimes I'd like to imagine like are they really like sensing it the same way I'm telling or not, it depends on people. And I don't totally understand about like the dark side of all the bad news and everything. So if you stick with like something that's really dark and really gets you depressed, and then you're like, oh, I can't keep going.
Right.
So you have websites. So how people can found you and get help from you and take your courses?
So I have a website for my books, and that's stacyjuba.com. And then I also have a separate website for my editing services and for my courses, and it's called shortcutsforwriters.com. If they're on the Stacy Juba website, if they click on, they'll see like a link that will take them there. Directly there. But for writers, I have a free 5-day line editing class, which if they sign up for, they'll get some line editing lessons sent to their email inbox. And then I also have a Facebook group for writers. It's called the Shortcuts for Writers Editing Made Simple group. And it's
you know what? That sounds great. That would be a great start for everybody to just join Stacy on the Facebook group, I think. And you've done other interviews as well, so we can find that. Tell me about that children's book that you made. Can you tell me about it?
Yep. So I have a children's picture book called The Flag Keeper. I also have a Teddy Bear Town children's bundle, which is The Flag Keeper is part of that. And then there's 2 other books in it also. And that's on an Audible book and it's an ebook. But the Flag Keeper is also available in paperback. And I got that idea because my husband's like very patriotic. He's very into like presidents and American history. And years ago, like he wanted to get a flagpole for a house. So we had like a flagpole installed in our front yard. And then he would bring the flag like out every morning. He would bring it in at night. And then my daughter was really young at the time. She was probably 3 or 4. And like he would hold her and carry her out and they would sort of do it together. And I just didn't get it. I was like, yeah, that's nice and everything, but why don't you just leave it out there all the time? And he'd explain, like about the flag code and flag etiquette and how you're not supposed to leave it out at night without a spotlight. And he was just told me a lot of things I didn't know. And I thought it would be, I know a lot of kids know about the origin of the flag, like about Betsy Ross, those stories, but I didn't think a lot of kids knew about the flag code and flag etiquette and treating it with respect. So that inspired me to write a story. I wasn't necessarily going to publish it initially. It was more like for my kids and just a fun story to write. I thought about submitting it to magazines. And then my dad likes to draw. He's not a professional illustrator or anything, but he just really likes to draw. And I gave him the story and said, hey, do you want to, just for fun, for the kids, illustrate it. So he illustrated it, and in my eyes, like the little girl, the main character was an actual girl, but when he gave me the illustrations, it was a bear family, and I thought it was cute. And I thought, this is really cute. I don't know, I think I might have something here. So I sent it to I contacted the American VFW Post and the American Legion Post, and I just I wanted to make sure I was thinking about publishing it at this point since I already had like a website. And I thought, well, maybe my adult readers might be interested in it, like for their kids. And but I wanted to make sure I had everything accurate, all the flag facts. I wanted to see what they thought before I published it. And they both were very, they wrote me testimonials and they were very, they said nice things. They thought it was a good book for kids, that it kind of filled a gap in a lot of knowledge. So I wound up publishing it.
And it was easy for the kids to read and to get informed at the same time. Would you say like it's an informative book that you can find in school, or just be a book that kids can just be attracted to read without feeling like they're learning something? Or?
Yeah, it's a good book, like it's like a good book for like teachers to read to kids or parents, or, like military.
Or history class,
to pull out like at different patriotic holidays, like the 4th of July or Flag Day. But it's a fiction story about a girl, like the girl with the bear, Elizabeth. She's determined to. Her father goes on vacation, like not vacation, but like a business trip, and he. So he said, "We'll just leave the flag on the, we'll just leave the flag until I get back." And then she's determined to show him that she can do it all herself. And so she just goes through all these things, like how she accidentally gets it dirty. And that's a flag code thing. We're not supposed to get the flag dirty, so she's like scrubbing it, and she hangs it upside down by accident, which is like a sign of SOS, like an emergency.
Oh,
all these
yeah, I remember.
determined to prove that she can do
I
it
remember
right.
I had to help people. I think I was doing some volunteer work, and we were putting this flag around I think it was a giant soccer field. And that's how they reminded me about this, like, never do that, never dispose of it. And I was like, what?
Right.
And I learned that. That was only like 3 years ago. I might have learned it before, but it's like, oh, really? It means something.
Yeah,
So it's never too late for somebody to learn.
Yeah, I put like a glossary in the back with some flag facts, so they can read the story first, and then they can kind of go over the actual. I pulled out like some of the flag code facts and a few like historic flags, and then there's like some discussion questions and like a little activity. So it's mostly fiction, but I put a little bit of nonfiction at the end so that they could kind of.
So your dad is very patriotic, you saying?
My husband, yeah.
Oh, okay. So he supports you all over the years when you were writing. He knows you as somebody who's always been writing into that. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay, so how many books total have you wrote altogether?
I think like it's about like 9, and there's also like some. I'm trying to think. There's 2 mysteries, 2 so far 2 chick lit books, the 2 hockey rivals books. I have a young adult paranormal thriller, and then I have the Flag Keeper, so that's like 8. And then I have my bundle, my children's bundle, and then I have like some box sets, and I have like my mystery novels called one of my mystery novels.
You're like 100 years old or something.
Yeah.
Goodness.
So I have like a nonfiction collection also, which sort of ties into my mystery novel 25 years ago today, and that was so the nonfiction collection is called 25 Years in the Rearview Mirror, and it kind of ties into like the fiction, the novels about like a 25-year-old cold case, and then I kind of contacted a bunch of writer friends and asked them to kind of write an essay about what they were doing 25 years ago, and then just kind of pulled it together into this sort of essay book. So that was kind of
that. Yeah, that's a great idea. Wow. And I love mystery. I started to write one, and then I didn't continue. I just did one. I was like, I don't want to get in that dark side. But it was interesting, But some people are really good with, And so if anybody wants to know more about you and your books, they should go check it out, the samples. Just read the preview so they get an aperçu, and they can go to your group. So they can participate and then find out about those online course. And how long are your course takes for somebody to do the whole thing? How long would it take, you think?
It is self-paced, so they can go at their own pace. But if they really wanted to like binge through it and just get it all done, they could probably do it in about like 14 days. But a lot of people go through it more slowly. I'd say most people go through it more slowly. I recommend, if you can, trying to do like at least a module a week, so that you're making progress.
Yeah, and if you just concentrate on that and not having other things at the same time, you have some better information, and that's what people do wrong these days. They always try to get so many things all at once. I think if you commit to one thing, you should just really go through with it from start to end, and then, and then come out with better knowledge, and get better at your writing too. So it was great to have you. Thank you so much. And it's always nice to have a diversity of writers, and the inspiration is always there, and you are such a great guest to have on. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Bye. Ciao.